Hi guys, welcome to the Healyverse, a place where literally anything could be next, as today's video is going to prove to you. Before we get into it, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that fun stuff that YouTube algorithm likes to see. Okay, so first of all, let's address the elephant in the room. Why am I wearing these? Let's just say that these are my prototype for the video that we're doing today. These are the Gondor vambraces that many of you may recognise from the Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings movies. If you don't recognise them, then sad English noises. But yes, these are those. So a couple of years ago I made these for my wife out of foam. They turned out okay. At the time I didn't have any leather, I'd never worked with leather, I had no idea how to do any of that sort of stuff. I just know I wanted to try and make something meaningful, and since she seemed really attached to the Gondor vambraces, that's what I went for. However, we fast forward and now I have some leather. Not a great deal, don't get me wrong. I have a decent amount of leather, but it's all scrap stuff, which, it just means it's difficult to make a full set. So what I'm going to be doing today is making a single Gondor vambrace. I apologise now. I know, I'm a bad guy. I suck. But despite all your boos, the day will come. This is the first piece. Consider this Mark II along my journey of making the full set of official Gondor vambraces. So, without any more time wasting on my behalf, let's start the process and see what we're working with. First thing I would like to point out, the very, very first thing I would like to point out, I still had the paper stencil from when I made these. Now this, again, is layers of foam, and it's 1, 2 for the inside light brown piece, 2 for the second piece that sort of comes around, kicks out the sides here, goes down, and then a single layer for the top piece that's got the tree and the wings and everything designed into it. So I was just going to rinse and repeat, do the same thing. Same stencil, same template. The only thing that was going to change this time was I was adding straps. So this one was a little bit more systematic because I didn't want stitches showing where they didn't need to be shown, because again, my hope is that this will be 2 separate pieces. I don't want it to be like this where it's one hard piece. I want to be able to slide this out so that I can potentially put the other vambrace on it, the one that's fallen over up here. So stenciling, same template, rinse and repeat, just use the same one that I use for these. So nothing to show there, guys, unfortunately, I'm sorry. But as I mentioned, I don't have big pieces of leather, I don't have thick pieces of leather. I have a variety, a very interesting variety I would like to add, that we ordered from Tusting and Burnett. It's a 5 kilogram box, and you buy one and you get another one for half price. So we've got 10 kilograms of scrap leather in various colours and various hides and various skins, and it's great little selection of stuff. It leaves you plenty of room for being creative and coming up with interesting projects and designs of your own colour schemes and assortments, but it does leave you slightly limited with what you can recreate, shall we say. So in this case, I'm going to be taking a few pieces, I'm going to be gluing them together. I didn't film the gluing process because it was a can. It was a spray can of Evo Stick contact adhesive, and I'll be honest with you, it's fantastic stuff. I couldn't recommend it more. It's absolutely done its job. It stuck everything together really nice, but because it's such a obnoxious scent, aroma, fumes, whatever you want to call it, it's not good. Can't do it in the house, and I wasn't about to set the camera up outside because the day I was doing it was particularly miserable. So I just set it up under the gazebo, wafted it, let it dry for a little bit, and then brought it in and set it out by the door at the other end of the house. Let it aerate for the rest of the day. Pretty much everything you see in here, bar one piece, is going to be 2 layers. So this one had to be a little bit more systematically approached. I had to make sure that when it came to sewing the straps onto this second layer of leather here, I wanted it to be in between the 2 pieces so that you couldn't see the stitches. It would just be sewn from the back inside piece, and you'd only see them from inside, so that they wouldn't be showing over the design on the front here. That ended up almost going very horribly wrong. Not only did I start sticking these 2 bits together, and then I quickly had to grab some paper corners that I could peel it back open, wedge them in there so that while the rest of it set and dried, they didn't stick together. And then I also cut my straps, and then I stuck them together, and I totally forgot that I needed to put the buckles on them first. So then that also became a case of unpeeling the straps, trying to punch my buckle holes, putting the buckle through it, and then trying to re-stick it back down, which I just gave it a little bit of a re-wafting of the contact adhesive, and it was fine. Hazard averted, luckily for me. I mean, worst case scenario, they would have just been more straps for a later project and they wouldn't have been turned into buckles. I'd have made some more, but I didn't want to be having to. So the first thing you'll probably notice is that the piece of leather I'm using as that second layer is a lot lighter than it needs to be. So what I did was I found this leather paint. Now it's just an Amazon only brand, very cheap, more than accessible to anyone who's got £4 spare, and it basically paints your leather to whatever colour it is that you've purchased. And I've not tested its durability yet during weather, so don't quote me on its waterproof stability, but fingers crossed this thing will never be going outside anyway. This is more of a replica piece than a costume piece. It hopefully won't ever be overly exposed to the elements, except for potentially this inside piece, because like I said, I'm going to try and make that separately, and I'm hoping that that'll work as a sleeve for any other vambraces that I should make in the future. That said, if it wasn't such a lengthy process of punching all the holes and stitching it all together, I'd be more than happy to make another half dozen of them. It wouldn't be too strenuous. It's not a particularly difficult shape to cut out. It's just punching the holes and stitching them in those sort of cross patterns that takes a lot of time. You'll notice now I've changed the colour, I've darkened it up, and now I'm able to do the burning of these two little decorative flower things that curl around the side of it. They're just up on this here. It was a lot tougher to try and do it with these because I'd never done anything like it before. I didn't really even know much about burning and carving foam or anything, never mind leather. So doing it with these, like I said, I kind of found that when I started actually burning the wings on this main front piece here in the tree, I was terrified. I was absolutely bricking it because I was like, well, if I even wiggle, I don't have another piece of leather that looks and feels like this, because this feels pretty perfect to what the braces look like in the film. Regardless of what the rest of it turns out like later, I really like this front piece in particular, this front piece of leather that I had, so I didn't want to mess it up. But you know, after I started doing a couple of wings, and you just sort of got used to doing that nice circular line, and then you're doing some smaller ones to come back the other way, doing the tree, it was fine, guys. It was therapeutic, honestly, and it just made me realise you don't need fancy engravers and CNC tools and all this expensive stuff. If you have any kind of artistic ability and a little bit of time and patience, and you trust yourself and don't let yourself get so panicked that you start shaking all over the place, I have faith in you. I believe in you guys. I think you can do it. If I can do it, and I have shaky hands from smashing them against concrete for nearly 15 years, you can do it too. I have all the confidence in you. Goes without saying, there's a lot of holes to be punched during this, because not only do I have to stitch the front piece to the two back pieces, but then I also have to stitch the two back pieces all the way around that perimeter so that it looks like one solid unit, and also make sure that the straps are stitched not only into the lining so that you can't see them from the front, but then stitched along the edges so that they don't unfold or come unstuck. And then, oh, this back piece, we're going to get to that in a minute, because that was a project in and of itself. Believe you me, I could have made a separate video just on how long that took me. But yeah, no, so with the amount of holes that were punched during the making of this, I can guarantee the rabbit wants to move out at this point. I think she's applying for new ownership as we speak. So it was around this time that I realised that the camera was no longer recording. And you know, you get that little fluttery feeling in your chest when you're like, oh god, when did it stop? Because I was just focused, I didn't even notice. Turned out, good 45 minutes, 50 odd minutes, just gone. I'd finished attaching the front piece to the second two pieces, and I'd started punching all the holes in the inside piece before I then was like, oh heck. So then the next day we had a new storage SD card turn up. We swapped that out. I could carry on recording. But yes, there will be a 24-hour transition. It was a whole day for me. It'll be pass in a blink of an eye for you. If you're wondering why you're not seeing these two being connected together, it's because I didn't film it. Like and subscribe. It was very simple. I was just not going to go back and unstitch it all just so that I could stitch it back on again for camera. It's done, it's on, it's connected. Another thing I should probably point out, I have very much done the white inlay for the Gondor tree on a budget. It is a white gel pen, that is all. And I had to blow it through at that. I had to use it like a kid's blow pen. I had to dismantle it, hold it by just the tube, and then so that it got like a somewhat of an even fill, because of course the leather was just sucking it up. There you go. If you're wondering why it's transitioned from being burned and black to white gel pen was my trick. Again, I don't know how it'll work in terms of longevity, but presumably if it's not being exposed to the elements too much, it should be fine. Fingers crossed. As I mentioned, a couple of years ago I made these for my wife. It was with the idea that one day I'd be able to maybe do it for real, out of leather. Now, the same Christmas that I made these for my wife, I also made her this little replica Andoril as well, which she was very grateful for. But obviously, I'm not going to be making one of them just yet. More subscribers for that. But I made her these and I was thinking one day it'll be great if I can actually make her these out of leather. The same Christmas, my wife bought me not only a full sewing kit with all the accessories I could need, she also bought me some decent thick leather, which is the stuff I use for making her pouch, my dad's pouch, this vambrace up here. So I was like, well, this is perfect. Now I can actually make some leather stuff. So let's learn to make some leather stuff, because I didn't have a clue. I had no idea. I was like, well, now what? Now I just cut some leather up and whack a needle through it? What do I do? So I turned to YouTube, as is often my thing whenever I'm like, well, I don't know what to do. What else can I do? Nothing. YouTube. Turned to YouTube and I stumbled across a pretty well-known channel, actually, at this point. I like to think, called Skill Tree. If you're not already, I absolutely encourage you to go and subscribe to their content, because the things that they come out with are phenomenal, ingenuitive, and they're just a great channel. Kit, Maddie, absolutely great people. Live streams are very fun, but also very informative. You know, like I say, I've pretty much anything and everything that I've done leather-wise so far has been something that I've learned from either them or their Discord. So I would like to say thank you very much, Skill Tree, for all the stuff that you've taught us and for all the hours of entertainment that you've provided us. So yes, I think it's only fair that we give Skill Tree a big thank you for all the stuff that they've taught us, even down to these little bookmarks, which I'm literally using one of them here for my notes for this video, that we made a few videos back. Come in very handy. Cheers, guys. Final thing I'd like to point out with regards to the actual making of this thing was that with the inner cuff bit, I was coming low to the end of my thread. So what I kept trying to do was I'd cut myself a load of lengths that felt like they were plenty long enough to make it the full length of the crisscrosses, and then they weren't long enough. And I did it once and I was like, oh god. And I did it the second time, I was like, the third time I was like, oh my actual god. The fourth time I was like, heck. So yes, but I managed to make it work. I managed to make it all the way there. What I did have to do a couple of times was poke the needle through, then poke the thread back into it, and then pull it through, and then pull the thread off the needle, and then poke the needle back through, and then poke the thread back into it, and then pull it through, and then pull it back off again. And that was, note to self, don't ever allow myself to pre-cut thread that short again, because then the next thing that happened was, because they were too short, some of them were physically just too short, they wouldn't have made it, so I had to cut other bits. I could use the longer bits for the bits that were too short before, but I think it left me with the two longest pieces I had to recut again when I was already running out of thread, and I still had to do the entire perimeter. So I was like, oh my actual god, what am I doing? Why am I doing this to myself? I'm very bad at preparation, guys. Don't know if you've realised this yet. These are things that you will never see on this channel. You will never see a camera die. You will never see us run out of storage space and therefore the camera die. And you will definitely never see us struggling to prepare for things ahead of time and then fumbling around trying to figure out what it is we're going to do next. We don't do that here. We are professionals, damn it. Like and subscribe if you believe us. I don't know why you would. So, how's about we take a look at the final version? Bear in mind, this was the prototype we started with, so everything we did was based off and around this. We were essentially trying to recreate this in leather. I'd say it's a recreation of the Lord of the Rings original vambraces, but admittedly, when I originally stenciled the design for this, I think I may have got it a bit wrong in a place or two, and then when I've made this one, I've done all of my details and everything based off the design on the front of this. Chinese whispers, you know what I mean? You know what I mean. But with that, we should be able to level up from a foam Gondor vambrace to a full leather one. Now I'm just going to put this back. I'll show some for comparisons in a minute, but I believe we'll probably also run some B-roll somewhere around now while I'm explaining to you what's going on. Obviously you've seen most of what's going on, but I just want to sort of give you my quick summary of how I feel it's turned out, because ooh boy, this one's cool. I like this one. I'm so happy with it. To anyone who didn't know better, it's like, yeah, it's official merchandise, bro. What of it? But to anyone with a keener eye, you know, I'm sure there'll be little bits and bobs that are out of place here and there. For one, I think are you ready for it? Are you ready for the magic? It's where it begins. Abraca separate. There we go. Look, I made them, guys. I am definitely not freaking out like a child. Definitely not. I'm a grown man. I am in my 30s and I will not be spoken down to like a child. I will tell my mummy, oh, I'm nearly 32, guys, that's not good. Like and subscribe quick before my fingers don't work anymore. All seriousness, guys, I'm going to be honest, I'm really happy with this and how this turned out. Hopefully you'll be able to see it clear in the B-roll, but as I was saying, I did not want the stitches from these straps and where they were being held down with the rest of it to be visible from anywhere else. I wanted them to be held down exclusively under the stitching so that they're invisible. You can't see them inside or out, and that's pretty cool. These are all things, you know, little things I'm learning along the way. And as you'll see with the next thing, because I have already finished the next project as well, that is another step up in a big direction for me. In such a simple way. It's such a simple way that I would have never expected to be so difficult, but it was, and I made it. Between that and this, I'm feeling the leveling up. Definitely earning that. Which, if you haven't noticed, we reference Skilltree a lot on this channel. That's why I felt it's only appropriate that we sort of reach out and thank them for everything. They've been very supportive. They've left comments on our videos. We're big fans of their channel, and we're really, really hoping that we, you know, maybe get to interact with them one day. God, wouldn't that be a mad thing? Back to the vambraces again. I'm so good at staying on subject. One thing I will point out, I think my orientation of this set of straps is a little bit off, because when it sits on, let's go for it, let's do it, because this is easy enough. I can do this. I can wear the thing I made. And the good thing is, I don't really even have to actually tighten that, because by the time I then just buckle this on, it just stays in. Pretty sure I can get my hand through this top one. Yep. That slides on like so. And then this buckles round. And there we go. That is one fully functioning Gondor vambrace replica. Maybe this inside thing's slightly off colour, I'm not 100% sure. I couldn't quite gauge it off of the various pictures from the films and stuff like that. I couldn't tell if that was the same layer when it's on Boromir's hand or when it's on Aragorn's, if it's just gotten dirtier, because it seemed a lot lighter brown on Boromir's and then a lot darker on Aragorn, so I don't really know exactly how that works. Leave it in the comments, let me know. I'm sure someone does. Katie knows a lot of facts about the Gondor vambrace, and I'm pretty sure you'll all be getting treated to one in the next couple of weeks once the video for this one's all done. But there we go, guys. Now this one's obviously just string, so I'll just try and tuck that out of the way for a second. And there we have it, guys. The prototype. The second prototype, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think this counts as a finished version? I mean, it's pretty cool, but it's definitely, I would very, very much like, in the future when I have some thicker leather, obviously like I say, Tustin and Burnett, the stuff I get from them is absolutely fantastic. The quality and variety of what I've received from them is awesome. However, I would like some thicker stuff, because I don't trust myself learning to tool with something so thick. As you saw in the making of the bookmark, there's a reason that corner is chopped off. It's because I thumped the stamp straight through it. So I would like something a bit thicker. I would love to be able to make a version of not even necessarily the outer bit, just the inside bit that is thicker, more armor grade, because again, this is, it's not hard, it's not armor. It wouldn't stop anything, a sword would go straight through it, but it looks legit, and that's all that matters. Except it's not if you're actually getting a sword swung at you. So it would also be pretty cool if I could make a thicker version, maybe even a set. So maybe a day will come where I can actually make one of these with proper thick, hardenable, armor grade leather.
But it is not this day.
And maybe a day will come where I can actually make a full set of leather ones to match one another.
But it is not this day.
And also, as a little side note, I noticed King Elisar's are not the same, and I've dabbled in blacksmithing once or twice in my days, believe you me. And well, I say blacksmithing, I use that term very loosely. I've smashed bits of iron together and then asked my dad to weld them for me. But you know, blacksmithing, same thing. No. Honestly, we've made a few things. I've got a pretty cool dragon over there that I might put a picture of up. If I just magic a picture from thin air down here, and I just. Then there you go, you can see. I mean, he's pretty cool. Like, that's a cool dragon, and I forged that dragon. Me and my dad made all of it. You know, he did the wings and welded things on, and we made the armour, we made everything. The tower was a piece of scaffolding, the wings are made out of bash plate from an excavator that smashed off. The dragon himself is pretty much made entirely out of rebar. The fence is on, obviously, is rebar. So, you know, I consider that blacksmithed to a degree, because the dragon was all individual pieces that I had to shape, bend, make look like limbs, grind down, get to form, and then weld them all together, and then clean up all the welding. It was a bit of a mixture of things, to be honest with you. That can go now. Ultimately, I'd really like to start getting into doing some metal work again in the next year or so, hopefully. And when I do so, I'd very much like to make a pair of the LSR braces as well, because why not? We're learning, we're making replicas, we're upgrading, we're leveling up everything here, guys. So fingers crossed we can move onwards and upwards to better things in the future. Going from making something like this to something like this, it makes me very appreciative, both of my wife and skill tree, and you know, even myself, my ability to be able to sit down and turn a box of scrap leather into something like this. Some people would say that it's, you know, a hard-earned skill. Others would just say that
It is a gift.
for me, I'd just say it was a bit of fun. And I'm glad that I now have something else to decorate the shelf back here with for the future videos. Hopefully it'll look pretty cool back there with its matching buddies here. Although I may have to demote these ones, guys, I don't know. Because, I don't know, what do you think? I'm going to be honest, I do like these. They look great, they're just a bit firm. Because they're foam and they're spray painted, it doesn't do much. Probably more weapon proof than this though. I think at that, guys, we are about finished. I hope you've enjoyed this video both literally and physically. If you haven't, I'll wait. I can do this all day. Oh god, that's so cool. I'm gonna be honest, I'm fanboying over this one. Hang on, check this out. Originally, you'd only seen vambraces like these in the scenes of Lord of the Rings, but now it has been remade. I'm nerding, sorry guys, I can't help it. Also, how pretty is that? I'm gonna be honest, I've seen a lot of replicas about. We got a very nice tidy one. As I said, we are absolutely getting onto a good track. I feel like we're gaining some momentum at this point. We're getting more comfortable with making things. I genuinely can't wait to see what we can do in the future, and I hope that more of you will join us along the way. Like I say, feel free, go down, hit that subscribe button. We are on our way to 1 million now. That is an absolute fact. Undeniable. It's just law. Go check for yourself. Subscribe on your way. But of that, guys, I appreciate your time. I know I've rambled a little bit. Hopefully at the end of it, it's felt worth it. If not, let us know. I tend to ramble a little bit. Not sorry. Thanks very much everyone for joining us today. I very much hope to see you on the next one. Whatever that could be. For Frodo. I didn't glue the filming process, guys. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, Aragorn. I didn't mean to. Sorry, bro. You're fine. The cliff you fell off in the two towers was way higher. What do you mean you broke your foot again? Oopsie daisy. Dag nabbit. Oh, bloomin' heck. Oh, blimey. Oh no.